Now, I've got one more story, but we're going to start diving back in to more J6 stuff as more documents and more revelations get released. And I want to pitch it again. I'm going to be interviewing a good friend of mine who was actually at the Capitol on January 6th, who was harassed by the feds, who was caught up in all of this J6 nonsense from the libs and from the Democrats. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be happening. Really looking forward to it. But let's dive into the latest on this January 6th, because it is absolutely getting insane what is going on with the pipe bomb issue, which is probably the biggest scandal. It's part of the biggest scandal in American history, which goes all the way back to spying on Trump in 2015-16, to the entire deep state coup during Trump's first term, to the rigged election, to all of it. Check this out.
But I want to turn to something that we broke in the last 72 hours. It began Thursday night with a story on the number of FBI agents who went to the Capitol on January 6, 274 of them, and then came out and said they witnessed a politically biased FBI, that the J6 defendants were treated substantially different than those who committed crimes during the BLM riots of 2020. Today, we were able to provide to the American public 2 new FBI documents that Kash Patel has found. One of them is the lab report on the 2 J6 pipe bombs. Remember the pipe bombs found at the DNC and the RNC, the 2 major political party headquarters? There's a really interesting question that those reports raise, which is, how do bombs that had a 1-hour timer sit for 16 hours without going off? The FBI lab report couldn't answer that, though it did confirm that there were 1-hour timers on 16-hour-old bombs. No one can explain what it is, but the mystery got even more severe when we got the main witness interview with the woman who the FBI interviewed, who says she found the Republican National Committee bomb. And she says the story that the FBI is telling, that the bombs were there for 16 hours, can't be true, because she walked by the Republican National Committee bomb site an hour before she found the bomb, and there was no bomb there. Then it suddenly showed up when she came back on her laundry run. She's adamant about it. And also, she said, at the time she saw the bomb, it still had 20 minutes on its timer, something that the FBI lab doesn't acknowledge. What does that mean? We got a lot more questions than we got answers, but at least now, under Kash Patel, the FBI is providing Congress and the American public evidence long denied the American public.
Exactly. This is the biggest scandal. Now, realize what this comes down to. All right. And we're going to dive in because Dan Bongino, now deputy director of the FBI, we've actually got some snippets from his old show where he was talking about this. The fact of the matter is, the Democrats, the libs, the globalist cabal of corruptocrats could not have U.S. senators actually look into the results of the 2020 election. They could not have senators audit the 2020 election. That would not have worked for them. That would have been a massive problem because they would have uncovered massive amounts of fraud. We know that now because between 2016, 2020, and 2024, there was a mystery 15 million votes. Basically, there were about 65, 70 million votes total between all candidates in 2016. There were 85 million in 2020. And then come back to 2024 and we're back to 65, 70 million. So somehow a phantom 15 million votes showed up in 2020 that disappeared 4 years later. And the fact of the matter is there was major election mail-in voting fraud, and they could not allow Congress to ask for an audit of the vote. That couldn't happen. So they staged the J6 Fedsurrection. Now, I think what they realized was that getting people to actually breach the Capitol wasn't a guarantee. So their guarantee, their ace in the hole, their ace up their sleeve was the J6 pipe bombs, because then they could call it an insurrection no matter what and shut down the voting in the Senate and shut down any idea of an audit of the vote of the actual election. And so here's where we go. Check out Dan Bongino as he dives into this on his program before he became deputy director of the FBI.
So now we have Capitol Police, DNC Security, Secret Service, and another protection detail that missed this bomb at the DNC while Kamala Harris was there? No way.
So what he's saying is There's no way that he's buying that the US Secret Service and the FBI, who actually do security checks prior to dignitaries showing up at locations, missed a pipe bomb out in the open, not hidden, basically stuck in a corner. There's no way they actually missed it. Now, check this out, which is another snippet from his show where he talks about the fact that based on video footage, it very much looks like the bomb was planted 1 hour prior to it being, or 15 minutes prior to it being found. But right before, it's not planted the night before, it's planted the day of. Check this out.
Kamala Harris was not at the Capitol on January 6th, as I just said, which is the strangest thing because nobody wants to talk about it. Even Kamala Harris. They keep telling us there was an insurrection on January 6th. Yeah, Kamala Harris was at the Democrat National Committee headquarters, right down the block from the Capitol. And if there was an insurrection, the story of her being there with a bomb outside should be the biggest story in the news. But ladies and gentlemen, no one wants to talk about it. Bottom line up front, here's what I think happened. I think this is one of the biggest scandals in politics. They could not, absolutely could not, have Republican United States senators on certification day outing stories of voter fraud. You understand? All of America would have heard what happened in the 2020 election. They had to interrupt it. The insurrection, what they call what happened at the Capitol, I don't think that entire thing was planned that way, but I don't. I think there were people in there who were instigating, but I don't think they anticipated that reaction. Don't mistake what I'm saying. I think they expected and wanted chaos. Absolutely. I just told you they had to interrupt the hearing. They had to. But I don't think they expected that. I don't. So they had I can prove it to you. So they had a backup plan. The backup plan was going to be these pipe bombs near the RNC at the Capitol Hill Club and at the DNC. That way, if the chaos didn't break out at the Capitol, they could say, we got to shut this thing down. Kamala Harris was almost killed by a pipe bomb. You get it? And the best part of the whole thing for them, these lunatics, is if the pipe bomb was discovered, they would say, oh, it was just a training device. We were testing security. Play the video. This explains everything. So here, thanks to Julie Kelly and Darren Beatty and others, we have this. There's a police vehicle from DC Metro showing up. You're going to see a guy get out of the car not far from where the bomb is. You'll see in the split screen. This is about, 15 feet away where the bomb was later, found. You'll see Julie put this together there. You'll see this. You'll see the guy getting out with a bag out of this Metro police car. And you see him right there with the bag. He looks, I don't assume he's a police officer. He's in a police vehicle. He could be working with someone. He's in a police vehicle, but don't automatically assume he's a police officer. He could be, but we don't know that yet. We just know he's definitely in a DC Metro police vehicle. And you'll see that where he gets out of the car, that the bomb, again, is found just 15 feet away or so. There he goes walking back. Now, a guy who's a Capitol Hill police officer, oddly enough, just minutes after that, finds the same bomb and goes up to a DC vehicle, a DC Metro police vehicle. Hey, look, I think we got a pipe bomb over there.
Exactly. This whole thing was an inside job set up from the get-go. And here's Julie Kelly herself on the Benny Show talking about this very fact as these are all being revealed now and released by the FBI, by Kash Patel and the FBI themselves. Check this out.
Look at the timer. It's like a 60-minute timer. Be set for 20 minutes if it was planted the night before.
Right. And that will be our next piece. And that is even more incriminating.
Oh, like somebody went and put it there like quickly.
Well, also
like in the window that it was found.
So realize there's only two ways that you could have a bomb with a 60-minute timer planted with 20 minutes left on it. It is either planted minutes before it was found, or if it was planted the night before, the timer didn't move for 16 hours, which means the bomb was never going to go off. Now, the FBI has confirmed, oh, no, the bomb could have gone off. It was a real bomb. So if it was a real bomb, it could not have been planted the night before. It had to be planted minutes before it was found. Hence the video from the Dan Bongino show before he became deputy director.
How was it set for 20 minutes to allegedly detonate? Not only if it was set the night before, but magically coincides 12:40, 20 minutes to 1 p.m. when the joint session of Congress convened
Julie, you cook. You cook.
Right.
I follow your account. Everyone follows Julie. Julie has millions of followers. That's a kitchen timer. Zoom as hard as we possibly can on that. That's a kitchen timer. It's not particularly sophisticated. You know, as I've seen enough Tom Cruise movies. Don't claim to be an expert in this,
Right.
but like, how was that set the night before? How on earth is that viable bomb that's about to blow? Like, how was that set up 12 hours ago?
Because it wasn't.
Exactly, because it wasn't.
Obviously.
Because it wasn't. Yes, that's exactly right.
Well, I know you're from Iowa, so I have to explain this a little bit, Benny. It was not.
Got him. Boom.
As an Illinois and Chicago, and I have to say that. No, I love Iowa. Both my parents were born in Iowa.
You know what? You're right. In Iowa, you would be using a timer like that to pop popcorn.
For those of you in Rio Linda, you cannot have a 1 hour timer on a bomb set 16 hours before that somehow shows 20 minutes left. Exactly. This is the whole point. It was an inside set up false flag job.
And that, or to, you know, that would be it. That's how I know. That's how I used a timer like that. But even I, from Iowa, hitting my rocks together, you know, to count the time, knows that that's a 60-minute kitchen timer.
Yes, it is. 60 minutes. Correct.
So again, we are now coming out. The evidence is coming out. It's becoming clear that the pipe bombs were a scam. The pipe bombs were an inside setup, a false flag operation. It was their ace in the hole to make sure there was a insurrection so they could stop the Senate from auditing the vote. Meanwhile, you had 300 federal agents and confidential informants in the crowd, along with bust-in Antifa and BLM members that actually committed the breach of the Capitol, that egged everybody on, that were the that incited the riot. You had two separate false flag operations going on. Nancy Pelosi denied the National Guard because she knew with the National Guard, they never could have pulled off the insurrection idea. They needed the chaos. They needed the optics, because there are no optics in a pipe bomb. So even if they had the pipe bomb and they managed to maybe stop the audit temporarily, without the chaos out in front of the Capitol, they never could have accomplished the twofold goal that they wanted, which was stop the audit of the vote and paint all of MAGA as somehow insurrectionists so they could never rise to power again. Well, they have now failed on basically all the counts. The only thing they were able to do was they stopped the audit. But all the J6 prisoners have been pardoned, and Trump and his FBI are getting to the bottom of this Fedsurrection, and it is going to come back and is going to be part of the giant conspiracy that I hope we're seeing now, because we've got a grand jury that's being impaneled in Florida, hopefully to look into the grand seditious conspiracy that wraps up all of the J6, all of the 2020 election, with the spying on Trump in 2015, with the whole Russia hoax in 2016, along with the denial of the Hunter Biden laptop, all of it put together. Let me know what you think in the comments. This whole thing, I hope, is going to come to roost, and there will be hundreds, if not thousands, of arrests and prosecutions. Let me know what you think in the comments. I really appreciate everybody rolling up today. Thanks so much for watching. Please smash that like button. Once again, we have been utterly shadow banned by YouTube. I need you guys to help me out. In order to get unshadow banned, I need you to do a couple simple things. Watch every video that we post, start to finish. Watch them till the end. That really helps the algorithm. Like them, comment on them, because that also really helps with the algorithm. And then share Courageous Media with everybody that you know. Really appreciate you rolling up. Remember, God is good and he is sovereign. It'll all be good in the end. He is in control no matter what. Thanks for being here. Until I catch you next time.